At some point, you got to stop listening. And not to every rumor. Some of them hold some weight, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have shown more than once this offseason that weight actually has something behind it, that their actions and their moves and their phone calls and their interest is something to follow, but not every time. And at some point, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to go back to their old ways. And maybe it's not tomorrow, maybe it's not today, but there are some names that make a lot of sense. There are some names that just seem flashy and exciting. And there are some names that flashment and that excitement, or that flashiness and that excitement, doesn't hold enough weight to say the Steelers are really going to do that. And we are riding a roller coaster that I think we should get off of a little bit. And this is probably why. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for jumping on to another episode of Steelers to Go, your daily dose of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. I'm Noah Strackbein. Find us on youtube.com/allsteelerstalk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. As always, find all my work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. Let me read you the most recent report from Pro Football Talks' Mike Florio, who started a rumor a couple of weeks ago, ran with that rumor as far as he could, and now he's saying this. Quote, "I will share one little nugget as it relates to teams' interest in Tyreek Hill. I heard this the other day and haven't had a chance to mention it. My understanding is the Steelers were interested, but they're not anymore because Mike Tomlin is concerned about what happens with this personal conduct policy investigation. Is there going to be a photo? Is there going to be a video? Is there going to be something that Tyreek Hill gets suspended for? They don't want to trade for him and then lose him, which is not an unreasonable position for a team to take, because why do you want to give up a third-round pick next year and have a guy come in and you raise up everybody's hope and then he's gone in November?" Obviously, this is in relation to all of the rumors floating around that Tyreek Hill and the Pittsburgh Steelers were a match that could happen. The Pittsburgh Steelers had interest in Tyreek Hill. You want to know who started that rumor? Yeah, Mike Florio. And I laugh as I say that because, well, I don't want to call out anybody. And I run with the rumor mill from times. I'll be the first person to admit that if there's a good rumor out there, if there's a good juicy rumor out there, yeah, I want to talk about it. It's fun. It's exciting. It's what you guys want to talk about. It's what I want to talk about. Sometimes hearing that Aaron Rodgers didn't have a single fun thing to say during his media availability is not what I want to bring onto the podcast. Sometimes I want to talk about how Tyreek Hill and the Pittsburgh Steelers might have some interest together, and maybe, just maybe, it could happen, even though that podcast typically turns into no, chances are it's not going to. But right now is a prime example that when you have fun talking about these things, you don't always believe them. And you almost never believe certain people when they say certain things, because chances are things like this is going to happen. Things like this are going to come out where all of a sudden everything is pulled back and taken away with zero accountability because, well, some people, that's what they do. And they've loved doing it for a long time. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Tyreek Hill probably would have worked if the Steelers were aggressive in it. But it probably would have worked if Tyreek Hill's only issue was the fact that he hated being in Miami. If his only issues were Mike McDaniels might be a bad coach and Tua Tagovailoa is not the guy that he wants throwing him the football. If that was his only issue, if yelling on the sideline and saying things like "I'm out" in press conferences were the only thing that he had as a bag of baggage that the Pittsburgh Steelers would have to take on, Mike Tomlin would look at it and say, yeah, I can handle that. I've handled way worse. I've had Antonio Brown in this building. George Pickens just left. And yeah, maybe George is going to be fine, but Deontay Johnson wasn't. And Le'Veon Bell wasn't. And we've done this before. We can do it again. That's okay. Tyreek Hill is worth it. He's really, really good wide receiver. He's an all-pro. He's going to go down as one of the best of his generation. And at the end of the day, if the Steelers traded for him, he would fit really, really well in what Arthur Smith and this offense is trying to do. And the Steelers, as I mentioned the other day, probably aren't done looking for wide receivers. And I tossed Tyreek's name out there as a possibility because Miami is going to get rid of him for sure. They don't want anything to do with them. And if they start offering up a 6th-round pick for Tyreek Hill and say you could get him for scraps, the Pittsburgh Steelers might make a phone call and say, yeah, we'll take him for a 6th. It sounds good. I never once said a 3rd. I would never even consider a 3rd-round pick. The best I'd go is a 5th, is to say, here you go. And with this, I'd say 6th. And you'd have to call me. But the Steelers, they're not going to be aggressive towards any of this because, yes, the Steelers are all in. And yesterday we talked about Dexter Lawrence and his upsetness with the New York Giants. Maybe I just made up the word upsetness, but it feels like it fits the bill. And the Steelers need a nose tackle. And if the Giants are offering Dexter Lawrence for the right price, the Steelers might say, yes, we need a nose tackle. That's okay. We have a lot of faith in Keanu Benton, but Dexter Lawrence is Dexter Lawrence. He's 27 years old. He's only 3 years older, 2 years older maybe than Keanu Benton. We can make that happen. We can make that happen. That's okay. We could do that. But Tyreek is not a, hey, we're going to be really aggressive. The Steelers have 6 weeks to figure out their wide receiver room. In 6 weeks, they will ride the roller coaster. Calvin Austin will have good games. Calvin Austin will have bad games. DK Metcalf will catch the football. DK Metcalf will drop the football. But the Steelers are not going to be the team that, quote unquote, has interest in Tyreek Hill. And what I'm really trying to get at is this. It is that time of year. It's the time of year where things are going to go crazy, where teams who look bad are going to have every rumor surrounding them whatsoever. And again, I will be the first to admit I love running with a good rumor, but I never, ever, ever do things like, oh man, this is definitely going to happen. No. I like talking about it, breaking it down. Don't listen to people who are tossing it out there saying it's going to happen and that they're the team calling and that these things are going to happen, because it comes back to the Steelers no longer have interest in Tyreek Hill because of what's going on. Follow the real reports. The real reports are usually pretty good, and you could find them from place to place. So let's talk about a couple, because I think that's important here. We get to go on a 15-minute rant about how there are certain people in this business that you cannot trust, or we could go on a nice rant about the Steelers probably at some point will have some very strong interest in some wide receivers. Most likely it's not going to be Tyreek Hill unless Miami is just ready to ditch him for nothing, which is a real possibility. Not one that I'm banking on, but is a real possibility. Okay. The first one is most likely Odell Beckham Jr. because you come week 8, week 9, the Steelers still need a wide out. They need somebody who could play on the outside and the inside. He's probably a name to watch. He can help you bring more winning potential to your offense. He's a guy who's won a Super Bowl. He's a guy who's done a lot of things that the Pittsburgh Steelers like. Number 2 is anybody who's played with Aaron Rodgers. Romeo Doubs is the big one. And I don't think right now, with Jaden Reed going down and potentially being out indefinitely, that's a real possibility. And Green Bay looks really good, and they're not going to make that move. But you never know. You really, really, really never know. What's up, AST Nation? I've teamed up with DraftKings. The next great touchdown is coming. You can bet on it. And the best way to do so is through DraftKings Sportsbooks, where new customers who bet $5 get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Football season is underway, which means you'll catch me scrolling the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen. And don't worry, if sports betting is not yet available in your state, you're good. You can still join in on all the action with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Sign up using my promo code ALLSteelers and get in on the action today. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. If the Green Bay Packers find themselves where Jaden Reed's coming back, maybe, just maybe, that's a name to watch. Allen Lazard at some point is going to come back and play for the New York Jets this season. And I think at some point, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to make a phone call. And that one makes a boatload of sense. That one makes, okay, this is an outside guy who's really not that good. He's good. He's productive, but really not like a superstar. But you could bring him in and things will be fine. And then there's the Dexter Lawrence thing. Because let's be honest, the Steelers have gone all in. They signed Aaron Rodgers. They made the move for Jalen Ramsey. They made the move for DK Metcalf. And you want to know what all of these guys have in common? They all wanted out of the teams that they're in. And they all kind of, sort of, a little bit found themselves as like scapegoats to drama. Their teams and everybody else looked at them and said, these guys are issues. They're going to be issues. Don't let them fool you. They got attitudes, bad ones. Dexter Lawrence is probably going to start fitting that bill soon. But these guys came here, there are no attitudes. I haven't seen that once from either of them. Jalen doesn't like to talk to the media, but I don't see him out there cursing out other players or coaches. DK Metcalf is the most respectful human I've ever met. It's kind of crazy that he has anything surrounding him in the sense of, I don't know, he's not that good. What? He's not that mature. What? I just don't understand it. Dexter Lawrence is going to start fitting the bill of causing issues because the Giants suck. And the Giants are going to suck worse than the Steelers. And the Steelers have a very expensive defense that they are not afraid to spend more money in because they're the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you could say that's an issue. Art Rooney's not listening. He's not on Twitter. He's not on YouTube. He's not sitting there reading the comments. He could care less that everybody thinks that their defense is overpriced. What he's looking at is saying, Dexter Lawrence is big body, dancing bear, Mike Tomlin described him as, and we could put him in the middle. Great. So, that sounds good to me. That's the superstar that's real, not Tyreek Hill. And maybe, again, Tyreek Hill becomes available at some point for absolutely nothing because he really has had enough of Miami. And that's, again, a real possibility, but not one I'd follow. When you're reading the trends, when you're looking at it, when you're trying to understand who the Steelers really have interest in and who they really don't, look at the boring ones first. The boring ones first, that always makes sense. The Allen Lazard, the Romeo Dobbs, who would be fun, but still boring. The Odell Beckham Jr.'s, boring. Then look at the flashy ones that fit what the Steelers typically do. Dexter Lawrence is the big one right now, and he'll remain the big one. Then from there, and that's exactly why, I mean, Dexter Lawrence fits because Jalen Ramsey fit. Jalen Ramsey's a mean, nasty, he should be a Pittsburgh Steelers defender, and you're telling me Dexter Lawrence doesn't give you that same vibe? He does. He definitely does. Mean, physical, big guy who could fill the middle of the defense. Steelers have been looking for one of those guys since Javon Hargrave left. Then you look at the crazy ones, the ones that, they're floating out there. But the Steelers, there's levels to causing problems, and Tyreek Hill is about 2 levels too high. And yeah, Mike Tomlin could probably calm that down. But Art Rooney's not looking for that. He's not looking for that at all. And he's not going to go out and get it again, unless Omar Khan comes to him and says, we could get Tyreek Hill for a 6th-round pick. Do you want him? And Art Rooney says, well, you can't say no to that, because sometimes when you're shopping and there's a deal, you take a deal, especially when it's on a good product. That's Tyreek Hill. But until then, shut it down. Don't listen to all the rumors. Have fun talking about them. They're a blast. But at the end of the day, know what's real and where things are coming from and ride the wave from there. And that's all I'll say today. With that said, thank you guys for jumping on to another episode of Steelers to Go, your daily dose of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. As always, find all my work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. I'll be back for the flagship show later. Until then, enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.